Greetings from the Pacific and all protocols observed. Based on our lived experience, GPAC Pacific has been pioneering the local action around the Peace Development Humanitarian Nexus. We see the following as critical steps to advance joint analysis. 1. It's critical to shift away from political strategies that perpetuate military responses and the securitization of the climate crisis. We need to advance a human security agenda rooted in inclusive multi-stakeholder partnerships. 2. The impact of policy should be measured based on its impact on the ground. Local communities are doing this every day and in a manner that's inclusive and gender sensitive. If you ask any woman after any disaster, what will you hear? That there is a scramble for resources, that there are community tensions which could escalate into a major conflict, that she's keeping peace, often at her own risk, in her home and in the community. That is what must be validated, documented, and brought to the table, whether it's a protection cluster meeting or national security assessment. The voices of communities should be central to measuring impact. Third, an inclusive approach to the triple nexus requires a clear pathway to a proper system-wide institutionalization of accountability, and one that is learning from each other, from actors working across the peace, humanitarian, and development nexus to enhance coordination. And finally, this can then lead to equitable and flexible funding for all actors and working at each stage of preparedness, response, and recovery. It must also include and prioritize a specific focus on the leadership of diverse women and young people by investing in building and sustaining our regional and local coalitions and networks. In 2016, GPAC Pacific supported the establishment of the Shifting the Power Coalition as a way to redesign the table and bring together a network of close to 100,000 grassroots, intergenerational, and inclusive movements in 7 Pacific Island Forum countries. We bring together our peace building, community-led activism, Pacific-driven innovation, and humanitarian expertise in response to mobilizing emergency response to the Samoa measles epidemic, TC Harold, COVID-19, and by mid-2020, publishing the only Pacific Island report reflecting women's lived experiences and recommendations on how leaders can use a peace development humanitarian nexus. We're building and systematizing a feminist and inclusive model of partnership and collaboration, not simply replicating patriarchal systems of practice. In conclusion, we don't need new commitments. As civil society, we have redesigned the table. We're weaving our mats to create a space for member states and the United Nations to join us as local experts to develop and institutionalize frameworks that are rooted in local realities and not global policies. These partnerships are critical and need to be supported. I thank you for this opportunity.